Hey, hi everyone. Welcome back. So, guys, as part of this session, right, we will see a brief overview on what exactly the data types in a TypeScript and what exactly the variables are, how to define them, and all those things. Let us deep dive with the practical examples. So, let's get started with the first option, which is a variable. So, what is a variable? A variable is a memory location where we can store some value. In general, we can use either var or a let keyword in TypeScript to define a variables. That's fine. The syntax for this one is var space what exactly the variable name that you want to define it colon data type is equal to value. That's fine. Immediately a question that comes in our mind, Surendra, what is this data type? What is the significance of this variable? See, the simple thing out over here is consider a simple example. I want to dial in a particular number, a 10-digit mobile number, twice a day or a thrice a day. In such cases, what I will be doing is I will be creating a contact, and to that particular contact, I will be assigning this a 10-digit number. Moving further, whenever I want to call him, right, I will be calling that contact. So we are just calling that particular name, but internally, how it's gonna work is as we are calling that particular name, the value associated for that particular name would be retrieved. So, which itself is a variable. A variable is a memory location where we can store some value, and whenever it is required, you are going to call back that particular variable. Perfectly all right. Then here, the key thing here is a data type. So what is a data type then? Data type represents what type of a data I want to store into a variable. See, there are a different types of a datas are there. Like if I want to deal with the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, what data type I need to use? If I want to deal with something like a strings, this is Surendra Jagannadham. I am a QA trainer. So all these are strings. I need to use one data type. I want to store some true or a false values. Definitely, you need to use a one data type. So, like that, while creating a variable, it's mandatory for us to define a data type. Okay, while creating a variable, it's mandatory for us to define a particular data type. Perfectly all right. So what I'm gonna do right now is um let us move on to this particular data type definition. So this data types specifies that particular variable that what type of a data that it needs to store, and additionally primitive data type means it stores one value at a time, and the quite commonly used primitive data types are a number which is used to store the number, whether it is an integer number or a decimal number, we can use it as a number. Strings means Surendra, this is Surendra, this is a playwright training program. All these things are defined as part of a strings, which can be defined either in a single quote or in a double quote. And the next one is a boolean. If your requirement is to just save true or a false, in such cases you will be using a boolean. And a undefined, a variable that has not been assigned any value. If it hasn't assigned any value, that's gonna be an undefined. And a null represents that intentionally the absence of any object value. So intentionally I just kept it a null value. Probably at later point of time I will be assigning a particular value. And in order to define a value to this particular variable, you can declare it first and then you can assign a value later. And in general, there are certain naming conventions that you need to follow. The first one is variable must start with a letter. Okay, ideally you need to start it with a letter or an underscore or a dollar symbol. And variables cannot start with a numbers. And of course, variables are a case sensitive. The name in a lowercase and the name in an uppercase are of a different variables itself. So what I'm doing is let me create a new file, and I'm naming it as primitive data types 1.ts. So guys, the primitive data types, as said earlier, we can store one value at a time. And if you look at this particular variable syntax, right, where or let, I can use it, followed by the name that you want to give it, colon the data type. See here, what I want to do is var I want to store the employee ID. Its ID, it's going to be just a number. So colon number, and the value that I'm going to assign here is 101. Okay, where employee ID, it's a number. And here where EMP balance, okay, account balance, and of course it's gonna be a number, and it is minus 1,000 rupees. So here I have assigned a normal value, and in this particular case this is also a number, but I am assigning a decimal value and as well as a negative value. So here console.log, if you see, basically employee ID, this is a string plus the value present in the variable. The similar way, console.log account balance followed by the value present in that particular variable would be assigned here. That's it. Now, let me try to run this particular test script. So guys, before executing this test script, what I want to do is, if you remember, as part of the previous session, we have uninstalled the TS node, right? So what I'm going to do right now is npm hyphen space install hyphen g TS node. I'm just installing this particular TS node. Okay, and additionally, for the extension, whatever we have added, which is this code runner, I'm changing this particular settings. Okay, and this particular settings, which is an executor map, and in this, okay, the TypeScript is pointing to TS node. Earlier we changed it to node. Now I am changing it to TS node. That's it, guys. I have done just this corrections right now. And in my program, let's try to hit this particular play button and check it out what's it's happening. See, if you look at the console, employee ID 101 and the account balance is the negative value, even that it got a printed down to the console. Okay, perfectly all right. And here, this TypeScript includes not only this particular numbers, even it supports some special numeric values also. So let us see a simple example. So where probably, account balance. Okay, let us go with an account balance, and this account balance is a number value, and it's divided by 0. What I am doing right now, I am defining 1,000 divided by 0. Ideally, anything divided by 0 is an infinite, right? So console.log account balance. Okay, so account balance, probably a number. Let me make it as a number, right? Instead of account balance, number, and I'm just changing it to a number. That's fine. And at the same time, var num number, and this time minus 3 divided by 0, and here console.log, I'm just trying to print this particular information. And also let us try to write down the another variable, which is var the result. Okay, var result, and this is a number which is equal to, okay, which is equal to ABC divided by 10. And this ABC, probably it's not considering it, hence I'm surrounding this ABC with this number. I'm stating that this ABC is a number divided by 0, and there's a console.log. That's fine, perfectly all right. Let me try to run this particular program and check it out what values that it's being printing it up. And if you look at this particular console, guys, it's stating that the first value is an infinite, the second value is an infinite, and the last value is a NaN, which is not a number. That's what it's being printing down. So ABC, that's not a number. How exactly you want me to do this divide and operation? That's what it's showing it up in this console. And immediately a kind of a question that comes in our mind, Surendra, whenever you are writing something, automatically these suggestions are populating and you are just using a tab, that line is populating for you. How exactly you are getting that line? See, the point here is, as part of this particular extensions, I also added a GitHub Copilot. Okay, I have added a GitHub Copilot account and I signed in into that particular account. So these suggestions, whatever these are populating, that are related to my GitHub Copilot. Once after the Copilot got added, once you have authorized to your GitHub account, this is the Copilot icon that it will be populating for you. Okay, this is the Copilot icon that it is populating for you. I'm using this particular. So here the Copilot icon will be populated for us. And here from this drop down, I have chosen a chat option. So this is what the chat option is. Okay, so what it will happen, the beauty of this Copilot, anyways, we will be studying moving further. But for now, the simple point here is as I have added a Copilot, whenever I am trying to write down some piece of code, automatically the bunch of suggestions are being populated for me. Perfectly all right. So in this example, we have a scene, a primitive data types and precisely of a numbers. In the next session, we will see a different sets of a data types like a strings, a boolean, all those things we will study as part of the next session, guys. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.